The front IO, Jesus. Hey guys, what's up? It's Matt with 86 and I'm going to be taking a look at the Talos M1 by Gamdias. This is a new gaming tower that they've come out with, and there's actually two variations, Talos M1 and the Talos P1. They both look extraordinarily nice, especially for their first jab at doing a tower on the market. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about it, and I'm going to go over a couple details with it. Maybe it's something you're looking for, maybe it's something you're interested in, or maybe you're still those people that have never heard of Gamdias, a great company that's been up and coming for a couple years now. The Talos M1 is a standard ATX tower, so it'll fit your MITX motherboards, it'll fit your ATX motherboards and your MATX motherboards as well. It's also got a nice basement shroud, which is really great. The basement shroud is a great place to hide your shame in your cable management when you don't feel like cable managing, and that's something. It has a unique design on the front that's tempered glass. It also has tempered glass side panels so that you can view in. It is a little bit tinted, but you can see into it just fine. The tempered glass on the side is really a plus for me because it's a hinged magnetic system, so it just magnetically snaps. It's very flush, very clean looking, and you just pull it with enough force to open it up and it swings out on the hinges. It's also really simple to pull it up off the hinges and move it to the side while you're working inside of it. The front I/O is located on the bottom, so you have your big old power switch, two USB 3.0s, two USB 2.0s, your headphone and mic audio jack, and the built-in fan and tower LED light controls. Now, the stock fans that come with it do have a straight 6-pin connection, not a stacked 3-on-3 pin 6-pin connection, and not their original Molex with a button fan pin connection, but a proprietary to the tower only pin connection. So it's a little bit like, you know, if you wanted to get the ʻteɪlʒs, these fans won't work with their ʻteɪlʒs. This is something I imagine they're still working out. But anyways, let's go over the colors that it can do built in. You have static off, you have red, green, blue, purple, cyan, yellow, and white. As far as the modes go, you have color shift, cycle, and a breathe shift. So while the front of the tower looks like it could host a third additional fan, it actually won't fit there due to clearance on the front. You can't put an additional 120 up there. This kind of makes it look like a gaping hole, but you know, you get what you get. It's the first jab at a tower, I'll give it to them. It still looks really nice for what it is. It is too bad that the M1 fans that came in at least the tower that I have are not compatible with their ʻteɪlʒs hub, and their other M1 fans that are compatible with the hub. I'd like to have seen that here instead of a confusing assortment of fans that I have to deal with. There is a toolless designed removable hard drive cage in the bottom basement, and you can fit two 3.5-inch drives in here. You can also remove it to help hide the cable shame. Especially if you're going to work with the fans in the front, you're going to want to remove it. So the cool part about the basement shroud is they left it open enough to show off their beautiful Astrape or their Cyclops power supply, which is an RGB power supply with a 140mm fan inside of it. They left the grate open enough so that you can see that pretty light spinning from the bottom up. Now, I don't have one on me that I could test in it, but that's what it's designed for. That or other power supplies that also have the RGB fan inside, if that's your taste. Really, I'm just happy that they put a shroud down there, because if you're like me, you don't want everybody to see your cable clutter. And I don't take the time, if I don't have to, like the 570X is behind me, if I don't have to take the time to make it look good, I'm just going to cram it in there, and I know about 90% of you are as well. There's always that guy that's like, no man, it's always got to look pretty even if you can't see it. The back chassis has low clearance, so for instance, there's a cutout area where you could put the ʻteɪlʒs hub. However, it's so close to the back panel that you can't actually close the tower with that there. I wish they would have moved that forward just a smidge, just a little bit, to make it a little more accommodating to things. There are plenty of spots for tie downs, but I wish that they just would have moved it forward a little bit so you could mount things on the back of it. Now, there is a cutout that you can put two SSDs on the back side or the front side, depending on how you want to orient it, inside near the front of the tower. Again though, just wish the chassis backplate was forward a little bit more so that you could put more stuff back there, because it's a tight fit. So when installing a motherboard, this is a part that really kind of got me. A permanently fixed standoff center screw would have been perfect. A lot of you that have worked in towers like NZXT towers know that there's a little notch that you can just kind of set the motherboard on before you go around to the standoffs and screw them in. Makes a world of difference in installing, and something I have taken for granted, and when I don't see it, I definitely notice. So instead of having that here, I have to hold my hand and push the motherboard and try to get those first few standoffs in. I really would have liked to have seen one of those notches that kind of help hold the motherboard into place while you go around to the standoffs. That's not here. Also in the back, the tower uses Popplates, and I thought this had kind of died out in like early 2000s. Instead of a screw off back plate where you put your GPU or your Wi-Fi card or your sound card, you have to pretty much pop it out by wiggling it, and then once it's out, it's out. So if you don't have a replacement one to put there, let's say you remove the wrong ones by eyeballing instead of seeing where it actually lines up, you're kind of stuck with that gaping hole unless you have a backup plate that you can put on there and screw on. So that's something worth mentioning. I think that's a little bit on the cheesy side. Get rid of the pop plates, put something on there that's replaceable, because as you change motherboards, you might change where the location of your GPU is by a couple of different slots back there, and you don't want to have those big gaping holes that just looks bad. Topside radiator support supports 120, 140, 240, and 280. Now 280, there's a caveat there. You have to have some pretty slim RAM to fit that up there. Same with the 240. I had some issues because I'm using the heat sinks that are the RGB ones from Easy DIY, which make the RAM a lot taller than most average RAM, but if you have taller RAM, you're going to have the issue with clearance there for that 240 at the top. Now I ended up putting my 240 in the front, and the front can support all the way up to 360. So that's where I ended up putting my 240, but just so you know, there's a little bit of a clearance issue because of how close the motherboard is to the top. So if you have a thick radiator, if you have something that drops down a lot, if you're using tall RAM or a big heatsink, then just keep that in mind. I don't really see 280 actually working up there. It does support it technically, but I would probably skip going with a 280 at the top. Now the rear panel rad support is 120 or 140, so that's great. If you want to go with 140, you can put a 140 in the back. There's plenty of ways to mount it. They've got lots of holes and slots, which make it super easy for orienting and putting it in there. If you need to adjust where it's at on the back just so you can make clearance, then you got that. There are definitely some things missing. I would have liked to have seen things like rubber grommets inside. That would have kind of given it a little more of that. This is a luxury tower feel. It'll help hide some of those cables, and it'll make it look a lot cleaner where you're routing cables in. Missing rubber grommets was kind of a letdown. There's no off button for the Gamdias logo, which may or may not be a big deal. I don't really know how you feel about it, but that Gamdias logo seems to be on. If you hook up the front area, then that whole Gamdias logo stays lit. It looks good. I like it, but there are some people that would probably wish to be able to turn that off. Now when the computer's turned off, it'll of course turn off, but when it's on, Gamdias is lit up. I would have liked to have seen that solution for the third fan in the front spot. Instead of making it look like you could put one there, find a way to have put that there. That would have looked good to have 3 fans in the front. Now you can do vertical GPU mounting, which is pretty neat, but again, and in tradition with it, what seems like a lot of case builders, there's no riser card for vertical mounting though, so that would have been nice to have seen. A riser card included with the tower would have been cool. So where we have dust filters is we have a small slide and snap in on the bottom, which can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. When you try to get it out of the grooves, you get it out just fine, but putting it back in, you got to find that spot and slide it in. Something magnetic clipping right there would have been pretty cool. There is no dust filter in the front, so cleaning that can be a little bit of a pain. It's a little bit of an arduous task to open that up and try to get in there to clean those fans. There's nothing preventing dust from really flying into the front. On the top though, they did a great job with a nice flush magnetic dust filter, and I liked that a lot. And again, would have liked to have seen that motherboard secure standoff in the center to help hold the motherboard in while you're installing it. I think that would have made a world of difference. As far as everything else though, I have no complaints about this tower really. It is a good tower. It looks nice. It was easy enough to build in, and I really like the direction they're going with their towers. Hopefully they keep it up, and hopefully I'll get a chance to look at that Talos P1 to see if there's any massive differences there, maybe in comparison to the Talos M1. Anyways guys, have a great day, night, whatever it is. I'll see you in the next video I do. Sorry I've been gone for a minute taking care of the wife who had surgery, being a Girl Scout dad, being a baseball dad, just all the stuff that's been going on, but I should have videos coming back out regularly soon. Have a great day, night, whatever it is. I'll see you in the next one that I do.